Oh yes, so moving to another topic now, one that I'm sure you're cautiously optimistic about and you're watching for this week, maybe the rest of the month. We have with us in the studio Dr. Deregulate Harry, who is the National President, Petroleum Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, and Mr. Wale Uluwade, who is the CEO of Growth Masters Consulting. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to our studios in Abuja.
Good morning, Malcolm.
Good morning, Malcolm.
Well, you saw what happened last week and 2 weeks before that, and it was seen that it repeated itself again. But we've been told now that we can heave a sigh of relief for at least March. And I think that's what needs to be underlined today, that we can heave a sigh of relief for March. There will be no petrol pump price increase in the month of March, is what NNPC has said. And they have stood by that in spite of what happened. It was seen flash in the pan by PPRA, and then, it was reversed with an apology as well. But it's still hanging over us. It was seen that there's a sledgehammer hanging over Nigerians. What do you see happening after the month of March? Let me come to you, Dr. Deregulate Harry.
Well, first of all, we appreciate the government, for turning back to correct any kind of perceived error in the system. So I think this is the first time that's happening in the Nigerian government, truly. And we want to commend the Honorable Minister of Petroleum for taking time to do that. But the reality will still face us down the road. As the month of March is almost gone. Today is the 15th of March, and we have just only barely half part of the month to go. So what we will anticipate and expect is the transparent, honest communication of things as they are. I don't think we should be political about everything in Nigeria. There are things that has to do with basic day-to-day life, and we must have to look at them. Petrol is a key driver of this industry, of not just of this industry, of the economy. Because I keep saying that without petrol in your car today, even if you're using an electric car or a gas-driven car, you must still go to the retail outlets to buy your PMS, to be able to drive to your place of work or to do your business, or even to be in government, to be able to administer your oath of office. So the reality on ground should be made known to the Nigerians as early as possible, so that we can find honest, economically sound policies to be able to cushion any of these effects that will be able to come. Because at the end of the day, global best practice is to deregulate the sector and ensure that the consumers understand the dynamics of how this works.
We've been told it's been deregulated, hasn't it?
Well, telling that the sector has been deregulated is good enough a story to hear, but let's practicalize it. Let us get into the dynamics of how deregulation is actually done. The regulation cannot be just a flash in the pan policy statement by government. It has to be properly legislated on. It has to go through a process where all the tenants of that, so that another government don't come in and just throw that away. We must deregulate on a very, very clear basis, and that's what I think that the government is now getting set to do. Consulting with everyone that is very, very critical in the sector, and make sure that the regulation comes to play, because we cannot keep running the NNPC in the way we are running it. It is a business, and it's a business concern, so it must have to run on a profitable basis. It should serve Nigerians efficiently and serve very well. And that is what we in Petron offer to do. As retail owners, we want to work with the government, we want to support the government, we want to be sure that every single I is dotted and T is crossed to ensure that Nigerians are served very well and served truly.
Let me come to Mr. Oluwade. You saw very much like many Nigerians would have noticed what could happen, or some of the vagaries that will be subjected to in the event that we say we've deregulated, and I'm very, very cautious using the word fully deregulated, because the pump price of petrol is still being stipulated, it's still being dictated, so to speak. But we saw what could happen, the kind of jumps that we could be subjected to when we finally say, you know what, let market forces dictate the price. 162 is the current price. I think we heard indication that it went up to as much as 212 naira, and that got a lot of people worried. And it would seem that it's something that could happen down the line as we continue to pray for fuel price increase, and our refineries are still not working as they ought to. What are your thoughts in terms of how the fallout of this deregulation can be managed?
Thank you, Markwe. I think it's another sign of our collective failure as a nation, to lead ourselves, to govern ourselves, like other serious-minded societies do, Markwe, can anybody justify why Nigeria imports petroleum products, diesel, jet fuel, kerosene, PMS especially? Can anybody justify rationally why Nigeria cannot refine petroleum products for local consumption? Because that is the crux of this problem, this debacle. That is why we are here. And until that is sorted, we're going to keep having this spate, this cycle of uncertainty, this cycle of market forces, rumors and innuendos and all kinds of shady practices, driving practices in that sector, a very critical sector. Refineries have been built in Nigeria way back, decades, 70, 60, 80 years, We have 4 or 5 refineries combined, installed capacity of about 445,000 barrels per day. But guess what? They are either not functioning at all or probably functioning at 20% production output. And then people are drawing salaries in those refineries. People are being paid pensions and paid, huge emolument salaries and allowances. For what reason? Why? Why can't Nigeria have functioning refineries? Why? I'm not talking about this government. I'm talking about from inception. Now, over the weekend, we were talking with a friend, and then on the chat, and then they said, oh, even if the 4 or 5 refineries were functioning optimally, we will still be short of, local consumption. And I said, that's exactly my point. Don't you have people thinking in this government, in NNPC, DPR, and all those agencies? Because if you are a careful, meticulous planner, and you put a system in place to provide for, 2 number people of 5-man household. So it's okay, should in case there is an increase in this household, so let me budget for, in 6 months or 1 year, I would increase this by 10% or 20%. Nobody did that. But I'm even saying those 4 refineries were run down completely, completely collapsed. Now, you're right, Markwe, the word deregulation, I think it's just being clever by half, because the appropriate term should be liberalize that sector. Open it up, privatize it. In the run-up to the 2019 general elections, one of the main presidential aspirants said openly that if he becomes president, if he wins the elections, he was going to sell off NNPC. Then what happened? He was lambasted, was excoriated, and because the man was misunderstood. I'm not here to speak for Vice President, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, but Markwe, what is the best practice in nations that have crude oil? Do you know how many refineries America has? 139 refineries in America. 139 functioning refineries. America is the largest crude oil producer. 17.8 million crude oil being produced on a daily basis, followed by Saudi Arabia, 10 or 11 million. Then you come to Russia, you come to Canada, and then, you know, so we can't even refine for local consumption. But then we're exporting, and then we now re-import. Now, what are the multiplier effects of that? You know, so crude oil is a major foreign exchange earner.
You were saying, you know, it's exasperating, I must say, because young as I am in this profession, we've been through this conversation over and over again. You know, in 2012 we had a big conversation. It was saying that this is 2020.
Let me shock you, but we're talking about PIB.
So the thing right now for me is this. Exactly, PIB has just come up again at the National Assembly. We saw people fighting a few weeks ago, you know, over what host communities should get. And right now, governors are already making their presentation. But the point right now is this is where we are.
Yeah.
We do not have functional refineries. We've been told that the state government, federal government rather, can no longer support subsidies. We need to scrap it. It's killing the system. It's you know, it's taking away from us monies that we need for other sectors, and so Nigerians have to carry the burden of buying their own petrol, energy needs, at whatever cost it comes. So what do we do right now? Because the government is also aware that this is what could happen. If crude price jumps on the international market, this is what our people will have to pay, from 162 naira to 212 naira. I mean, what percentage jump is that, for instance? How do you think that we can manage the situation? Is there any hope whatsoever, or should people just begin to accept that this is the new reality and live with it?
Unfortunately, that's the case.
There's hope.
It's going to be like that for the next couple of years. You know, the sliver of hope in the horizon is the Dangote refinery. You know, that's meant to have come up, you know, come on stream, but probably will come on maybe mid-year or towards the end of the year. But even that shows... Are
you hopeful on the Dangote refinery?
Partially, because that also shows how unserious we are as a nation. Because how can a nation hinge all its hopes on just one single refinery? Because from a risk management perspective, anything that can go wrong with Dangote refinery. There are all kinds of risks. What if Dangote defaults? Because it's putting $10 billion there. 30% of that is equity. 70% is debt. What if you can't pay the debt? And then there's litigation. What if there is an accident? I mean, we're talking about climate change. The Dangote refinery is built close to the...
Okay, let's not say all the things. People will put ideas in people's heads.
But the point is this. 650,000 barrels per day. That's what Dangote's installed capacity is. In the next 5-10 years, have you factored in the fact that will not be enough to meet local consumption? So,
what in the interim, do you think it will have any effect?
In the interim, it can have decisive effect. Because why not? Because even the Dangote, the 650 will not come on stream immediately. You can't have that 650 in the next 1 year. I can guarantee you that. So tell Nigerians you're going to expect this flip-flop, this spike, up and down. But what Nigeria should do, liberalize the sector, privatize NNPC. The PIB is moving from one rabbit hole into another rabbit hole. There are all kinds of dark black holes in the PIB. Guess what? Okay, they're going to set up a National Petroleum Regulatory Commission. So you collapse PPPRA, DPR, and all of that. Fine. But then you now come to NNPC. So you transform NNPC into, Nigeria Petroleum Asset Management Company. It's going to absorb all the assets of NNPC and become a commercial entity, so to speak. Now, that looks fine until you go to the ownership. Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated owns 40%. Ministry of Finance Incorporated owns 40%, 20% by borrow of public enterprises. That's federal government of Nigeria. We're saying there is a model on ground that works. Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas, company, NLNG. That's a model that works, that is working everywhere. Retain 40%, 51%, give private sector 49%. So private sector brings in their efficiency, their competence, their skills to run the NNPC. Until you do that, Mark, I'm sorry, we're going to keep going round and round in circles. That is what is done, in Saudi Arabia by Saudi Aramco, the most profitable oil firm in the world.
So that is at the top level.
Yes.
At the lower rung, I mean, next month, from the 1st of April, where we're no longer guaranteed that prices are not going to go up again, what would you be saying to Nigerians?
Well, first of all, let me take you back a little bit. There is hope in Nigeria. The Nigerian spirit is resilient and it's ready to take challenges. What we are asking as retail outlet owners, and we are many, we are tens and hundreds of thousands of retail outlets in this country, owned by approximately about 7,000 marketers, both major, independent, and otherwise. There is nothing that's been refined by anybody that is not refined for the retail outlets. So the reality today is that there needs to be a change in the dynamics of how we work the economics of refining. I'm happy that Wale has the figures and the numbers, and he's read them out very, very competently and professionally, and I'm very, very happy to spar with him on this session. The retailers have told the government, we want to take partnership interests in bringing the 4 refineries or the 5 refineries that are not working. They are not even producing at even 1%. So there is no story about 10%, 20%. So we, as the retailers, can easily muster our knowledge and our ability to work with the government transparently, bringing business models that work, bringing technical partners and financial partners that could make this to become the new reality of Nigeria.
Well, you'll get your chance, because we've been told that the refineries, I think it was a very recent announcement, after great reluctance, federal government says they're going to finally privatize those refineries. I think they're up for sale. They've listed them for sale. I don't know when. We don't know when that is going to happen with the BP.
Well, I want you to
But the question I want to ask you is, why hasn't your association taken up the challenge of modular refineries? Because we understand that that is an available option, and we've seen I think about 2 of them being launched. One in Bayelsa, one in Imo also.
The modular refineries are only producing mostly diesel, HPFO.
But they're allowed to work. That's the question.
Not PMS.
Why are you not taking on the challenge of producing?
No, we have our members who are already partners and owners of these modular refineries, and that's why we want to discourage the government from focusing on just one refinery and giving so much advantage to that one refinery. It will be better for us to have 1,000 modular refineries around the country, doing so many different things than focused on just one refinery and proposing to sell crude oil in Naira.
Yeah, but why are your members not taking up the challenge? That's what I'm asking.
No, it's not that we're not taking up the challenge. I'm here, I'm representing the retail outlet owners in the country, and I'm telling you that we have been talking in the last 1 year to different sectors of the authorities to say, look, we're here. And hopefully we'll get a chance to sit down on a round table to discuss and show them our business model and see how best it can work. We are willing. We are very willing. We are talking to every visible area. Like, first of all, we have to get the financial partners. We've gotten that. We've got to get the technical partners. We've gotten that. So the next is to talk to DPR and then also to get an MPC to know, because we already have refineries. These refineries that are not working. There are refineries in the world that are more than 100 years old, like the one in Trinidad and Tobago. So if that is working, what's wrong with our own refineries that was set up in the 70s? We can still do quite a lot of work with that. And if that is not working, then, of course, modular refineries that have the capacity to do PMS and do all of those things can come in. But at the end of the day, whatever you want to do, you must have a clear buy-in of the government to ensure that you have crude oil to be able to refine. So those are the bottlenecks that we think that we must have to go. So today you are challenging us. We were saying that we want to challenge the government to call us to the table so that we can be able to work. Because there is no refining done that is not for the retail outlets.
Indeed. What I'm wondering, I mean, you talk about hope the element of
yes,
hope.
I said there is hope. There is the reason why I believe there's hope.
The hope that people are looking to hang on to is the hope for next month.
Well,
what will you be assuring Nigerians that your retail association is going to do for them to ensure that they don't?
We're still going to be talking to the government. Obviously, we support the government. We support government policies, but we want to support policies that are intelligently put together to grow the capacity of the Nigerian economy. We are Nigerians. We love Nigeria, and we want to serve Nigeria efficiently. So for us as an association, we've got ourselves together, and we are ready to engage with the government productively to say, look, we have different options. Even in temporary importation, we should be given the opportunity, like Wale said, liberalize the area. Let us have Forex at the same price as NNPC is having. Let us have the method, and that's if Central Bank has the funds to do that with us. And once we get that, that becomes a sure way of ensuring that that is petroleum product. And of course, the pricing going flip and flop will not be there, because we'll be very, very plain and transparent to tell Nigerians what we are doing. Okay. We do not want to take too much profit. We want to be able to put in the best to get the Nigerian economy working.
In the meantime, you're going to tell Nigerians just brace up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That will be your last word on this matter.
This is going to continue. This is going to continue.
Oh,
because steps that should have been taken 5-10 years ago haven't been taken, and you don't jump those steps. You don't jump them.
But gentlemen, you know, we're totally out of time. I wish you had a little more time now to perhaps imbue hope, and I hope it won't be false hopes. But
well, there's hope. The Nigerian government, I believe, in the last few hours, as you can see, able to turn around and say, "Hey, we made some miscalculations, and we're going to correct it."
Okay.
If we as the retail owners can work with them, we can bring solution.
Well, let us hope that it will start from at least people not shortchanging us at the fuel pumps and ensuring that exactly. 1 liter is 1 liter. Exactly. But let's hope that that's where it will start from. Exactly. Who knows?
I can assure you that our members swear to the oath of integrity.
Indeed.
Yeah, they will. Anybody that is doing that is not a member of Petron.
Okay.
I can tell you that for free.
Well, let us leave it there. We have to wrap up now. We have to thank you both for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Dr. Billy Gillis Harris, the National President, Petroleum Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, and Mr. Wale Oluwade is the CEO of Growth Masters Consulting. We have a number of mails from you, and I'll quickly start with them. Fuel price controversy. This is from Olagunju, who says the recent controversy of fuel prices has a lot to do with the misguided deregulation process. So technically, the government, that's PPPRA, is still subsidizing the fuel. Until we start our local refineries, we'll still be subjected to the rise of crude oil and exchange rates. So some people are very aware of what is going on, gentlemen.
Yes, indeed. And then we've got this next one. He says, is what? Anybody? Okay. He says petroleum resellers are having fun with all these NNPC agencies. The FG is not providing those things that won't make the average Nigerian feel the removal of subsidy, and the state governments are also enabling it. All have unique ways of suffering their residents.
Oh, interesting way anybody puts it. Quincy says, on the capacity of armed forces, it baffles me a lot why a country like Nigeria, with so many able-bodied men roaming the streets daily, won't be employed into the armed forces. We have no business with complaints about an understaffed military.
And still on security, it baffles me. Okay, that's the one. The restructuring. Camilla says we must all wake up from our political correctness and call a spade a spade. The solution to majority of our problems is restructuring the country. Security, economy, technological department all depend on it. The center now is too powerful and ruled by what you see on the screen. Well, that's the show today. Thank you so much for
Just read what is there, for God's sake.
Everybody can read now.
Well, that's all. We'll have to leave the show this morning. Thank you for watching. I'm Mark Yusuf.
Oh, I'm Kayode Kikele.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day.
I'm Chamberlain, so I'll see you tomorrow.